Good morning and welcome to TakeASide. I'm Jacob Polachek, and today we'll be discussing a number of topics from Kyler Murray's future and the recent allegations against KU basketball. Be sure to follow along on sided.co and follow us on Twitter at TakeASideKU. For our first debate, I'm here with Riley Ward, Marina Saver, and Max McElroy, who are here debating on whether Arizona Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray should have chosen baseball over football. Max, what are your thoughts?
Guys, Kyler Murray absolutely made the right decision. The biggest thing that I hear from everyone is that, Kyler Murray, he's losing so much money playing football instead of baseball, which as a first-round pick in the NFL draft, that's not true at all. He signed a $23 million signing bonus, and he's getting a $35 million contract. That's just his rookie contract. In baseball, he's getting a signing bonus of like $4.6 million. Granted, more money is in baseball. You see Mike Trout getting $400 million, something crazy. But that's also because Mike Trout's proven himself in the league, where Kyler Murray, he would have been in the minor leagues for minimum 3-4 years maybe, when he has the choice and the chance to be a franchise quarterback first year, year one. And he's not even doing that bad, honestly. He has 1,000 yards on the season, which isn't horrible. Team hasn't won yet, but I think that's more on just the Cardinals themselves than it is on Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with it. He should have stuck with baseball, and I see how it's not really fair to judge him, especially so early in the season and playing behind arguably the worst offensive line in the NFL. And it's really hard for any quarterback to play with something like that, especially a mobile quarterback like him who his O-line can't create a pocket for him to really get any rushing yards out. But I don't know. You bring up the contract thing, and it's true that at first you're going to make more money in football, but you get the longevity in baseball. Baseball careers are years longer than football careers. And who's to say how Kyler Murray would have played in the MLB? I mean, it's fair to judge him from his performance in the NFL to say, he should have stuck with baseball, but he didn't know he would be playing like this. He didn't know he would be going to a team that couldn't support his offensive strategy,
Yeah, and the way that I look at it is, with baseball, I read a statistic where a third of players drafted in the first round actually play a single inning in the pros. So it's one of those things where baseball, it might have seemed like the long-term, the best call, but you never know because he might have never even made it there.
Exactly.
So it's one of those things where it's difficult to judge which would be the better call, because if you're looking at it from a financial standpoint, right now football is the better call. I have to agree with you. But ultimately, it comes down to how much he would have succeeded in baseball. And I know it's both ways with that. It's like the same thing for football. It's you have to produce to make money. But I can see him working with the Cardinals. They're going to be getting good draft picks because, like you said,
right.
they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But I can see them building a franchise and building an offensive line in front of him so that he can do what he's good at. And once they get that done, I think that he'll have a very successful football career.
Yeah, I think, it's no secret that I am a reluctant and long-suffering Cardinals fan, but I think the Cardinals have to stick with Kyler Murray as their quarterback. They had a quarterback last season that was really thrown into the starting position in Josh Rosen, and when they decided to pull another quarterback up as opposed to using that draft pick for really strong offensive linemen, they can't keep going through quarterbacks and expecting it to completely transform their offensive strategy. I think Kyler Murray has to be their guy now. They have to really work to change the offense to revolve around the fact that he is a mobile quarterback, and I think this is a good guinea pig year for him to just make all of his rookie mistakes and, focus completely on football, which is something he didn't do in college when he was splitting between, football and baseball. And I think he has a lot of potential. I mean, he hasn't played spectacularly in these first 4 games, but he has a couple moments where you see like that Heisman winner that you expected to get. Fourth quarter versus Detroit in game 1 is a perfect example of what we know he can do. And I think there's potential. He just has to access it.
Well, I think that's also what he brings to an NFL team is you'll see it like with Daniel Jones last week is like they had Eli Manning for years and they were down 18 points when Eli's on the team. No one thinks that they can win that. But Daniel Jones gave their team like juice, and that's what Kyler Murray's given to the Cardinals. They were losing by, I think it was 18 again to the Panthers, and they're still slinging the ball downfield 40, 50 yards trying to make a play, and because they still think that they can win the game with a game changer like him. And also in baseball, his first year playing at Oklahoma, he batted with a .122 batting average, which is extremely low. I think the reason he got drafted so high was because of his speed, game-changing speed. That man's incredibly fast. I mean, yeah, he had 10 stolen bases his junior season, which is just like that man he can scoot definitely.
Yeah, he's
But,
definitely a player that relies on his athleticism.
Yeah, and I mean, you even saw that last week with his first rushing touchdown. He has just that speed that I don't think necessarily Coach Cliff Kingsbury has like been able to work that into the offense yet. But I think once he does, and once they work on that offensive line, I think that he definitely made the right decision and will continue to prove people wrong despite his.
Yeah, he also
size.
brings like a lot of fandom to the Cardinals too. I mean, when you draft a Heisman, when you look at Baker Mayfield, granted Baker Mayfield I feel like had a little bit more kind of around him just with who he is. But yeah, definitely I think that Kyler Murray brings a whole fandom to the Cardinals, and jersey sales, kids love him. He's exciting to watch, and I think he'll continue to be exciting to watch for a while. All right, so we're going to take a quick commercial break right now. We'll be right back with you.
For students searching for a way to stay active in an outdoorsy way, the City of Lawrence has bike trails running in every direction, and with the new bike share program, we can stay in shape as we tour the sights of our beautiful city. Clinton Lake is only a short 30-minute bike ride away from Daisy Hill and has the most incredible sunset location in all of Lawrence. Walking campus may give you the KU calves, but biking can give you the KU thighs. Bike Lawrence today.
From adversity, we rose. We made history and became pioneers, voyagers, champions, Jayhawks. And when our chant rises, haunting and hallowed, Jayhawks are telling the world what's near. Victory.
So Kansas basketball has been under a little bit of, I guess you could say, allegations, kind of.
Some fire recently.
Yeah, definitely.
Without a doubt.
Twitter's kind of blowing up about it, and the NCAA is, what it is they are filing allegations against Kansas for a lack of institutional control, which falls on Coach Bill Self, and it all kind of falls down on TJ Gasnola. He's the Adidas coordinator with a connection to Kansas basketball, and he provided money to a former recruit, Billy Preston was his name. He never actually played at KU, which I think is interesting. His mother, and then also Silvio De Sosa, his legal guardian, he also provided money to him. And so I think these allegations are kind of ridiculous just because they've been already cleared. Silvio De Sosa got cleared in the spring, and then Billy Preston, he's gone now, and he hasn't even played. He never actually played on the court. So I think it's kind of ridiculous. But do you think Kansas is in trouble?
I mean, I think that without a doubt that they're in trouble. Like with Georgia Tech, they were hit with 3 total allegations, one of them being a level 1 allegation, versus KU, we were hit with 3 level 1 violations and then several level 2 and 3s. So when I look at that, I think that what Georgia Tech actually did was worse than what KU did. They literally paid for one of their recruits to go to a strip club. He was paid money out of a booster's pocket. So they recruited him essentially through that. And KU isn't doing that. We're giving money to less fortunate families. Granted, it depends on how involved Bill Self and Kansas actually is. Because I know it's mostly Adidas that's kind of pulling the strings, at least that's what I want to believe. But yeah, I don't know. When you look at Adidas and their involvement, how do you think that compares to other schools who haven't had allegations?
Well, that's a great point. So Nike is kind of like, I'm not necessarily going to say monopoly, but Nike owns a lot. And
especially in American schools.
Every school wants to be a Nike school. So schools like, that are sponsored by Adidas or Under Armour, they want to be able to gift the school and the players with, more of their gear. Just in a sense that, try and keep the school and Adidas, keep the people satisfied. And so I necessarily, I believe that it might just be something to do with that, because you don't hear Nike schools necessarily being under an allegation like that, like Duke or Kentucky, but you hear an Adidas school, and then football doesn't even really get touched in the world at all of allegations.
Yeah, that's the thing that I feel like they're terrified to go after a football school, because you look at the Power 5 football schools where they bring in so much money for the NCAA that they rely on, Texas, Alabama, all those huge schools to bring in money for them. So the second that you start attacking schools like that, you're basically attacking yourself as far as the NCAA is concerned. I mean, I know Kansas football, despite us not having a fantastic season so far, which Max will get into next, but without having a great season so far, despite that, Kansas basketball brings in significantly less money than Kansas football brings in. I mean, it's the boosters, ticket sales. I mean, Allen Fieldhouse is only so big. So they're attacking basketball because basketball is a lot easier of a target, smaller number of players, smaller
agree.
money. I don't think that they have what it takes to go after football yet.
I completely agree, and I don't know how this will play out. There's no timeline on these allegations and when they're going to be up, so I think if there's going to be a year KU can win a natty recently, it's got to be this year.
It's got to be this year.
Just because I don't know if allegations or any punishment will come from this year.
Yeah.
But then again, like TJ Gassinola, again, like the Adidas, I guess you could say correspondent with KU, like he said that Bill Self had no knowledge of any of this. So I don't know where it's going to fall, if it falls on Bill Self, if it falls on players, if it falls on the postseason, if it falls on anything like that. If there was even like talk of them taking away like a Big 12 or a couple Big 12 championships and a Final Four appearance.
Well, when you say that, that's what annoys me the most about it, is that it depends on who's involved, and I feel like ultimately it should come down on the KU athletic department. It shouldn't come down on individual players who are trying to make a career in basketball. It shouldn't come down on Bill Self, who's coaching these young men. It should come down on actual KU athletics and how much do we know?
Which
Really.
is actually why Bill Self is being charged with this, is because under the NCAA rules, the head coach is responsible for all of that. Which worries me a little bit about Bill Self's job.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Just because his whole lack of institutional control all falls under the head coach of that university. So I think it'll be really interesting, and we'll have to see how it plays out. But again, KU, I'd love a national championship.
I'd love
this
a
year
national
before.
championship. Before we're out of here, we need one.
Definitely.
So I mean, like you said, this year, if we're going to get hit with allegations, we can only delay for so long.
Exactly. All right, when we come back, we're going to debate KU football and if it's the end of their season or if there's still a little bit of hope left.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
All right, Max, let's talk about KU football.
Let us talk about it.
Over the weekend, they lost to TCU 51-14. I think their season I think it's over. I mean,
Hate to admit it.
you do, because they started pretty good, and I know there was so much hype around the season coming into it, but if you look at the schedule and who they have left, I mean, they're playing Oklahoma this weekend. Oklahoma just beat Texas Tech 55-14. I mean,
Just as bad of a butt whooping as TCU.
it's not good. And then Les Miles just this morning said that running back Khalil Herbert, he says he doesn't see him playing for the team in the foreseeable future. A lot of people think that he didn't play in the game against TCU for personal reasons. He could redshirt this year after playing just 4 games, and a lot of people think he's going to transfer. So that doesn't help the team.
No, not at all. What I found out from this weekend was that Khalil Herbert is kind of the heartbeat of the offense. You know, everything runs. If he's doing well, then the team's doing well.
Yeah.
Hence the Boston College win. I think there's a little glimpse of hope for KU football.
Who do you think? I mean, I think they're going to lose to Oklahoma. Then they play Texas.
I
Then they
agree.
play Texas Tech.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't seem like they have
Definitely.
any chance
Well, it's
against
definitely a tough schedule ahead of them. But I feel like no one really expected them to beat Boston College.
That's true.
And it's Les Miles. I talked about it earlier. He just brings juice to the program. Even KU didn't even play a game yet, and people were already saying they were going to go bowling just because Les Miles. People believe in him and what he's done. I mean, you can't really argue with a national championship. But I think with everything that's going on, I think KU can respond. I think I would love a KU K-State win. That would be fantastic.
I would too.
I'm not necessarily saying they're going to be incredible, but I don't think you can count the season out just yet, just because they still have teams that are winnable games, like Iowa State. I think K-State is beatable. Even
Iowa
Texas
State-
Tech, they could maybe get one there. It just all depends on kind of how the team responds to all this adversity.
They play Iowa State on the road, and they haven't won a conference game on the road since 2008.
Yeah, been a long time. But you know what? They also didn't beat a Power 5 conference on the road for it was like 100-some games. And
What do
they
you
beat
think-
Boston College.
What do you
so.
think about Herbert? Do you think he's gone?
Yeah, I think he's gone. I think him being a captain of the team, I think, is going to hurt them. But I think that's also where the responding to adversity is going to come in. And I think the team will be able to rally behind that.
So Velton Gardner is the running back freshman who would step in for him.
Yeah.
He played a little bit against TCU. Didn't look too bad. So we'll see what he can do if Herbert does sit out
Yeah.
the rest of the year.
It'd be unfortunate if he's gone. But whatever decision, whatever is going on with him, obviously I hope just the best for him. But yeah, it's time for a freshman to step up and get that experience and
That's true.
hopefully be able
It could
to
be better. Could
work the
just
offense.
prepare
Yeah.
him for next year.
What will be interesting to see is how, with the absence of Herbert, how the offense will be able to change or adjust or adapt to him being gone. So I don't know if that's going to involve them running more like a spread offense where they pass the ball a lot more.
Yeah.
They still have Puka Williams, who's just a great player, super shifty, but it'll be interesting to see if they do any changes with that or if they keep everything the same and how they'll finish
And
the
Drew
rest of the
Prox
season.
didn't play against TCU, so they should have him back, which would help a little bit.
Definitely help the run defense a little bit.
I think they could have some close games. I don't think it'll be all like it was
You
on
think-
Saturday.
You think Hope's lost?
I don't think they're going to win against some of these schools, but they could stay in there, and then that would be good for fans going to games. I mean, you don't want to lose that because fans have gone out to the home games that they've had this year, and it's been a good atmosphere, and you don't want to lose that, especially heading into basketball season. It's going to be kind of hard.
Absolutely. I also think that in the first year of Les Miles, it kind of depends on what the fans expected. I didn't really expect them to be, 6-6 until they beat Boston College. I was on a KU high. I was like, oh my gosh, going to the college football playoffs.
Exactly.
No, but I think it depends on what you think for his first year. Like, it's a Kansas team who's over the past 10 years not have a more than 3-win season. Like, it kind of depends on what you expected with that and just in that complete rebuild and program shift. So I think fans might be disappointed if they had super high hopes, but
Yeah.
if you didn't expect a lot, I don't necessarily know if you'd be disappointed. And if you can squeak out 2-3 more wins, maybe, I think
I would
they
take
can
that.
do it.
I would
and
take it.
I would take it.
I think it'd be
Absolutely.
good. Okay, well, when we come back, we're going to talk about MLB playoffs.
Have a nice day. You too. Have a great day. Thanks. You too.
Make someone's day. Pay it forward.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
All right, welcome back to TakeASide. For our final debate today, we're going to be discussing the MLB playoff picture, particularly this week's wild card matchup. So let's start with the National League matchup because that game is first. They play Tuesday. The Nationals and the Brewers will play in Washington, D.C. Who you got?
I hate to say it, but I'm siding with the Nationals. I see my parents just rolling their eyes at me as lifelong Brewers fans. But they're starting Scherzer, and I mean, we all know Scherzer. He's one of the most dominant pitchers in the league, and they're playing at home. I really think that the Nationals are going to take this one. Just with the Brewers pitching staff, I know that they're starting Woodruff. Woodruff's a great pitcher, but he's not a Hall of Fame pitcher like Max Scherzer is. And Max Scherzer, I'm convinced, is going to rise up to the moment. He's going to have a great game.
Yeah, Max Scherzer is definitely a good pitcher. I have some partiality to him because he entered the league as a Diamondback, so I always have to root for him. But he's 11-7 on the year, and Woodruff is 11-3. Granted, Scherzer has a much lower ERA, almost by 1 complete point. But I don't know. I think the Brewers are really hot right now, and they have a definite chance in this game. I think in baseball, especially with the playoffs, momentum is everything, and they have been so hot in the month of September. Even without Yelich, they've really, really done a good job at stepping up to pick up his slack offensively.
Right.
I think, there's a lot of good arguments for both sides. I think, the Nationals do have an MVP candidate going into it with Anthony Rendon. He did hit 34 homers this year, which is pretty impressive. However, they do have one of the worst, if not the worst, bullpen in the MLB right now. They're really struggling with it. But the Brewers do also have a little iffy bullpen. They were, compared to last year, last year's bullpen was great. But this year, it's kind of just average. So
yeah, I feel like the Brewers, they moved a lot of those bullpen pitchers into the starting rotation. I know Woodruff was one of those guys. So it will be interesting to see how that bullpen holds up, because it's also the one game aspect of the wild card is terrifying, where when you're talking momentum, I feel like you look at momentum and that's a season-long thing or a month-long thing. But with one game, you really just have to show up. And it's so difficult. It's sad to see an entire 162-game season come down to one final game.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm very interested for that.
Yeah.
All right, so when it comes to the AL wildcard game, we've got the A's versus the Rays. And what are you both thinking on that one?
I'm going to have to go with the Rays. I think late in the season, the Rays have struggled hitting-wise, but the A's have struggled pitching-wise. They had a couple injuries that kind of deterred them, but I think ultimately the Rays are going to be able to generate the offense to really take that game and run away with it. And I hate to say it, but it doesn't really matter who wins that game. I don't think either of them are going to be any match for the Astros. But regardless, it should be a really good game to watch. Both of those teams have better win-loss records on the year than both the Nationals and the Brewers heading into the season. So obviously both really great programs, but I think the Rays are going to run away with it.
Well, if you watched the last show, I defended the A's, and I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to say the A's are going to take it. As of today, right now, they do have an undecided roster, which kind of makes people a little nervous. But against my better judgment, I personally don't like the A's, but I think it's good. They've been a pretty fun team to watch this year, not going to lie. Yeah. I think their bullpen might be a little bit better. I think they are going to try and keep the elevation going. That being said, they are hosting the first game. They're hosting all the games. But they already have some extreme hype for this game. They've sold 45,000 tickets already. They're expecting, upwards of 55,000 people, trying to just fill that stadium. Compared to regular season, they did tie with the Seattle Mariners, which is one of the worst teams in the league, and in the league in the MLB too. But they did tie with their last series. Mariners 1-2, Athletics 1-2. So it's, are they trying to keep their best players for playoffs for this game, or are they burning out? I think it's a good question to ask. But compared to the Rays lost their last 2 seasonal games. So
I think the key for the A's is really just finding a good starting pitcher. The Oakland A's as a whole, their starting rotation has an ERA over 5 against the other AL teams in the playoffs. So starting pitching is obviously a really big weakness for them. I think they just need to find the right person to start. Austin Meadows has been destructive offensively for the Rays, and he's a left-hander. So looking at that, do you start your left-hander against the Rays just for pure the strategy of it? There's a lot of different options and avenues that they can take with that.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of starting pitching, the Rays have the second best ERA in baseball, not starting pitching wise, but as a whole team. And I think that's really what's going to win you this game. The A's are an explosive offensive team, and shutting them down, it's going to be difficult, but if anyone can do it, I think it's the Rays. It's going to come down to how you're putting out a home field advantage. Baseball, it's the only sport where you have a statistical advantage when you're at home field. You're at the bottom of the 9th. So I think that it's going to be great I think the A's are going to pull it off, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
I'm outnumbered.
I'm jumping back and forth between the Rays and the A's. It's difficult for me to think of listening to your points, but I think that their home field, I think Billy Beane eventually is going to have this whole Moneyball system work out for him. We'll see how that goes.
I do agree with your point, though. I think in the end, it's not going to matter. I think the Astros are going to take the games.
Yeah, and same with the NL, too. We didn't mention that, but I think whoever's rolling into Los Angeles is going to get swept.
I don't know. That's where I disagree. I hate to admit that I think the Dodgers have any possibility of winning any game ever. But I don't know. I think the Brewers can do it. And if the Nationals win, I hope they do it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. I hope they do also. Yeah. I'm done with that whole reign in LA, despite the fact that they have no World Series to really show
exactly.
for it.
Their urge to win is really, really high right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's going to be an exciting playoff no matter what.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and we'll see this week. Both good games, Tuesday, Wednesday. They should be really exciting. And only October will tell how the playoffs go. So we're going to throw it over to Jacob.
Awesome. Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you for joining us. And be sure to post your debates on sided.co and tweet at us at TakeASideKU. For Caroline McCrae, Emma House, Marina Saver, Max McElroy, Riley Ward, and Sam Ryder, I'm Jacob Polachek, and we'll see you next week.